So, what does it really look like inside a huge tech company when it's staring down a massive, world-changing technology? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on Spotify's playbook for dealing with the age of AI. Let's get into it. It really all starts with this, a super stark phrase that Spotify's leadership has fully embraced: AI or die. And look, this isn't just about adding some cool new feature. This is an existential threat. It's a challenge facing pretty much every company on Earth right now. You either figure out AI or you risk getting left behind. The stakes just could not be higher. But here's the thing, right? This or die moment, it's not exactly new. We've been here before. Think about it. The personal computer, the internet, the smartphone. Spotify calls these macro wins. They're these unstoppable forces of technology that you just can't fight. You either learn to adapt or you get completely run over. And that leads us right into Spotify's core philosophy. You cannot fight a macro wind. It is not going to change course for you. So the only thing you can do is reposition your entire company, your whole strategy to get that wind at your back. You have to learn how to surf the wave. And they've actually proven they can do this. Just look back at the smartphone crisis. Their whole business model, their growth engine, was built on a free desktop app. But then, boom, smartphones explode. All of a sudden, a whole generation of users is mobile only, and they had no free way to get into Spotify. Their growth engine just died. So what they do? They invented something totally new, a free mobile version based on Shuffle Play. It gave away a ton of value, but it was just different enough that it didn't kill their paid subscriptions. They surfed the wave. So how in the world do they pull off these massive company-saving pivots? Well, it's definitely not luck. They've spent years building this incredibly powerful, disciplined machine on the inside that makes these strategic moves possible again and again and again. And this quote, it just perfectly captures their whole approach. And it's kind of counterintuitive, right? In Silicon Valley, everyone's obsessed with move fast and break things. But Spotify actually slows down. They believe that structured debate, really talking through ideas, well, that's the cheapest, fastest way to get to the right answer before you go and spend a ton of money and time building something. And you can see this philosophy baked right into their core system for deciding what to build. It's called the bets process. Every 6 months, all the VPs pitch their big ideas. Then, the leadership team takes all of them and creates one single stack-ranked list for the entire company. Nothing is equally important. They start funding projects from the top of the list down until they run out of people, and then everybody commits. It's this beautiful mix of bottom-up ideas with absolutely ruthless top-down alignment. The engine that keeps this whole thing humming is a weekly meeting called the E-Team, the execution team. We're talking all 14 VPs in one room for 3 hours. The rules are simple but super powerful. Rule 1. Nothing gets taken offline. The decision makers are all there, so they make the decision right there. Rule 2. VPs can't bring their deputies. They have to know the details cold. The result of all this? You get a hyper-synchronized company that's all moving in the same direction. Okay, so that's the machine, that's the operating system they've built. Now let's look at how they're pointing this powerful machine directly at the massive challenge and, let's be real, the massive opportunity of AI. Okay, so here's the key idea. Spotify sees generative AI as something fundamentally different from old-school machine learning. They call it the uplink revolution. See, old ML was asymmetric. You got a ton of information flowing down to you, the downlink. But the only way you could send information back up, the uplink, was through these really narrow signals like clicks, swipes, and skips. The ultimate product of that era was the TikTok feed. But now, with generative AI, the uplink is natural language. You can just talk to it. It's suddenly a rich, symmetric conversation. And this just changes everything. Think about it. Instead of Spotify just guessing why you skipped a song, you can now literally tell it. You can ask for an EDM running playlist with big drops and make sure it's around 160 BPM. For the very first time, they can get a high-fidelity signal of what is actually on your mind. But this isn't just about making cool new features for you and me. What about using AI on the inside to make the company work better? This is where it gets really interesting. Now, when you picture a software developer, you probably imagine them sitting there writing code all day long, right? Well, Spotify's internal data shows something kind of shocking. In a big company, a developer spends only about 1/8 of their time writing brand new code. The reality of a developer's day looks more like this. Half of it, half, is spent in meetings, planning, and just communicating. And most of the time they are coding, it's actually refactoring and reviewing old code. So yeah, today's AI tools are great for that little 12.5% sliver of writing new code. But Spotify believes the real game changer, the real revolution, will be using AI to attack the other 7/8 of a developer's day. All right, let's zoom out one last time. Because beyond the processes and the tech, there's a core philosophy, a way of thinking that really underpins everything Spotify does when it comes to innovation. And they borrow this idea from a physicist named David Deutsch. It's called a good explanation. See, it's not enough to just predict that something will work. A good explanation tells you why it works. It has reach, meaning it can apply to other problems. And it's hard to vary, which is a fancy way of saying if you change one little piece of the theory, the whole thing just falls apart. And this is where the rubber really meets the road at Spotify. Even if an A/B test is a huge success, a manager will push their team and say, I don't want to launch it until you have a good theory of why it works. Because just seeing a pattern is useful, sure, but having a true explanation, understanding the why, that's real knowledge. That's something you can scale across the whole company to unlock the next breakthrough and the one after that. So, as we wrap this up, it really leaves us with a pretty powerful question to think about in our own work. It's so easy to get caught up in the what and the how. But what Spotify's playbook shows us is that real, lasting innovation, it comes from relentlessly asking and answering why. So, what's the good explanation behind your biggest decisions?